morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the Jonathan Alder Local School District Board of Education to order. Mr. Johnson and Dr. Swanger are unable to come this morning, and since Mr. Johnson is not here, I will be acting as the treasurer pro tem. Could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Mrs. Blacka here. Mrs. Boyd here. Mr. Faust
here.
Mr. McCartney
Here.
Mr. Votel
Here.
Thank you. Item 4, could I have a motion to approve the Jonathan Alder Local School District Emergency Board Meeting Agenda for December 4th, 2020?
So moved. Second.
And roll call, please. Mrs. Blacka, yes. Mrs. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. McCartney?
Yes.
Mr. Votel?
Yes.
Motion approved. All right. On to item 5, Superintendent's report.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Welcome. The first thing I would like to say to all of you is that over the course of the past 24 to 36 hours, I've received an estimate of anywhere from 50 to 60 emails concerning decisions here that we're looking at. And what I want to say to our community is thank you for sharing your perspective with me. And I also want to apologize if I have not been able to respond immediately or respond and get back to you here. Thank you for sharing those, and I know the board members have also received quite a few emails and perspectives as well. So just wanted to start off by saying that. With that being said, would like to direct your attention to the most recent Madison County Public Health information release and updated public health advisories and orders. The first one would be regarding the Madison County schools. So you have the public information release, and then I would switch over to the Madison County schools. Second paragraph, I will read that here. The Madison County Board of Health and Health Commissioner recommend all schools in Madison County close their buildings and thus use remote learning modalities until at least January 1, 2021, due to the high incidence of COVID-19 throughout the county and the potential for exponential growth in the coming weeks that may fracture the ability of the healthcare system to provide care to not only COVID-19 patients, but all those who are in need of care. Schools that remain open must meet the 6 feet social distancing rule between students, staff, not of the same household, and follow all other local and state safety operational guidelines. The next document I would like to direct your attention to would be the Madison County extracurricular sports and activities. And I'll just read this. The second public health advisory was issued to all schools, sports teams, and related organizations in Madison County, recommending that they suspend all sports, club sports, travel sports, league sports, school extracurricular, and school activities until January 1, 2021, due to the high incidence of COVID-19 in the county. Sports and extracurriculars that continue must meet all local and state safety operational guidelines. We are able to meet the state and local operational guidelines along with Ohio High School Athletic Association guidelines, and we have been doing that since June of this past summer. My recommendation is that we revert to continue to follow those guidelines, recommendations, and institute that effective as of today. The other thing with that is what I want to reiterate is that our families and parents do have a choice to participate in extracurricular, co-curricular activities. As far as going back to Madison County schools, I'd like to just share here a little bit of a timeline sequence of events over the past essentially 3 weeks. On November 12th, we received notice to transition to hybrid beginning November 30th. That was the first order from Madison County On November 23rd, we received notice to change that hybrid to remote learning beginning November 30th. On December 2nd, that would have been Wednesday, Madison County Health Board rescinds their order to change their orders to advisories and also add additional orders as far as social distancing is concerned. We, at that point, announced to staff the possibility of return to hybrid on Wednesday afternoon without yet receiving the written orders. When we did receive those written orders, that's where it was clear as far as what parts of that were advisory and what parts remained orders, specific to, again, those social distancing pieces. On December 3rd, that would have been yesterday, we spent the day soliciting feedback from our administration, listening to our teachers, and obviously not to mention a full inbox of emails from our parents and several students that I mentioned here earlier. And again, thank you for all of your input with this. In addition, yesterday afternoon, as you all are aware, that Madison County is one of 4 counties in the state of Ohio placed on the watch list to move to level 4, which would be perfect. For lack of a better analogy, it has been a roller coaster of emotions over the past 3 weeks. Sudden shifts, unexpected changes, announcements that go along with all of those changes. We've asked Mrs. Manbeck to attend this morning and share a little bit, because she has been also soliciting feedback from her teachers, from staff, and I would like her to at least share a perspective from Jonathan Alder Education Association. Ms. Manbeck, thank you.
Thank you, and good morning. Thank you all for having me here. As president of the Jonathan Alder Education Association, it's my job to represent the teachers of Jonathan Alder. And we had 88% of JAEA members respond to a survey that was put out yesterday. And I asked them primarily 2 questions. If you were the person making the decision with the data and information we currently have, what pathway do you believe would be best for staff from Monday, December 7th through Friday, December 18th? And then the same question, what pathway do you believe will be best for our students? So in terms of staff, because those 2 can be a very different perspective, while we're all here for the same goal and mission, you do have a different perspective. As far as the staff, what would be best for staff? 67% of our members believe that 100% remote, pathway 1C, would be best for our staff. 24% believe that hybrid 1B would be best, and another 9% believe that 100% in-person 1A would be best for them. In terms of our students, 59% believe that 100% remote 1C is our best pathway for our kids. 31% believe that hybrid is best at pathway 1B, and 9% believe 100% in-person pathway 1A. We could drill down into the student data based on buildings, because there is a very different perspective with our high school kids versus our elementaries. And even within the elementaries, there's a big difference from a kindergarten classroom to a 4th grade classroom. But overall, that's the information I received, and we can drill down if you're interested in doing that. So these were some of the comments that kind of struck me as I was reading through pages and pages of comments. I've had some students say that 100% remote actually feels more like normal than hybrid did, because they're following a routine every day and seeing us more regularly. This from a kid that has struggled with COVID depression. The current 1C path allows teachers to have a greater amount of contact with their students and provides much needed consistency to students. In the 1C plan, students will have daily live instruction, which isn't possible in the hybrid plan. From what I've heard from parents, the general opinion is they like this remote schedule. So much better than hybrid. Kids are actually being taught by their teacher. They don't have to teach themselves. Teachers are so organized. My child loves this. While I have always been in favor of kids being in school through all of this, sometimes being at odds with coworkers about it, at this time I am changing my position. Consistency and safety are my highest priority. We cannot keep switching what we are doing with our students at this quick rate. Children need structure to thrive educationally and emotionally. If we do this quick switch, we're taking that from them and moving backward rather than forward. The expected schedule was to return to hybrid in January. If the statistics support that, it is appropriate to make the switch then. There's absolutely no one-size-fits-all solution, and we all know that. This is not ideal for anyone. There is not a right answer that will please everyone. I think it's worth mentioning that there are parents who believe the district made the right call to go remote for these few weeks. Another concern of mine is that teachers have to know before we leave for break what model we will be coming back to on the 4th of January. It isn't fair to be told during break and be expected to adjust, make plans, etc. while on break. If we don't know before break, we could extend Christmas break by a day so that our teachers have a day to plan together. It would be appreciated to have time on Wednesdays for planning purposes. Having Wednesdays was a blessing for us to use in order to plan our lessons as a team. This is a tricky question. I'm relieved not to be the one who has to make it. And it feels like nobody wins, no matter how you slice it. Teachers want to see our students. Students want to see each other. Honestly, I'm glad that I don't have to make this decision. So I would like to thank JEA members who provided their important perspectives in order to help the administrators and you board members in making this tough decision for our students and staff. And I also want to thank the parents for being our educational partners at home. We can't do it without them at this point. While I personally am not on social media for a myriad of reasons, I did receive some information from someone who found some posts that I believe are worth sharing. They wondered if the board was getting this feedback. So whether you've seen it or not, here we go. At the beginning of the year, hybrid is what I hoped for, so the classes would be smaller, but the kids would get the in-person FaceTime I think we all agree is needed. But at that time, because we had heard so much about how virtual learning would look different than it did in the spring, be better than it was, I truly thought the kids would be live streaming into the classes on their home days, so they'd still get that time with teachers every day. While I found out that wasn't going to be the case, I wasn't thrilled, but I was like, okay, oh well, this is what it is, so let's roll with it. I quickly realized after finding out that each kid had multiple assignments daily on their off days and how hard it was to keep them structured on their off days while I was working. And I was like, this is kind of stinky, LOL. But the kids loved having the in-person time more than they hated the homework load, and we made it work. But now, in just a couple of days, I have seen so much improvement in things with them. Having a teacher available every day makes a huge difference. My kiddo with ADHD actually has some structure that he really doesn't get 3 days a week otherwise. My kiddo struggling with algebra and learning a foreign language gets more FaceTime with her teachers when she needs help. And they get to see other kids they haven't seen in 9 months, even if it's just virtual. This has honestly been an eye-opener for me regarding how 100% virtual, which is not the same as JADA, can go. Aside from the fact that I really think this is the right decision for us right now with the numbers, I've just been super impressed with our teachers and staff for putting this program together and how it's been working, and that's only after just a few days. Another post. I felt so bad when we started hybrid that nearly all of my kids' friends were on different days and they weren't going to get to see them at school at all. It's been rough, and I've been so proud of them for adjusting and doing the best they can. I just hate to have them, I hate to have to see them do all of this back and forth. It would be nice to just stay one way and let them adjust and have a nice Christmas and then reassess in January. I do feel for the kids who have a hard time with 100% virtual school, but I can't imagine that they have an easier time being in school only 2 days a week. I feel like both situations are hard for them, and I don't know what the solution is. I wish I knew what to do to help. I feel like all of this crusading to have school 5 days a week in person should maybe be focused toward helping the kids who are struggling with virtual or hybrid. I would happily join that cause. We just need to get through this year and hopefully things look different by fall. I think we all hope that.
Thank you.
Another one. Appreciate this viewpoint. I would give anything to have our children return to 5 days a week in-person instruction for their educational, physical, and mental well-being. They need it. We have an obligation to keep our educators healthy as well. Look at our current virtual. I find our children are receiving more instruction and appreciate the structure more than the 3 days self-study and 2 days in-person hybrid model. If we can collectively come together to find a way to get these kiddos safely back 5 days per week, yes. Until then, I firmly believe more structure with the improved virtual is a win for our kids. Another post. We all want them back in school, but I feel horrible for our wonderful teachers who have worked tirelessly to give our kids the best instruction possible, dealing with yet another switch. And I'm totally freaked out by the very real possibility of a whole classroom of kids being quarantined during Christmas. All right. I was reluctant at first. Just a few more. Hang in there. I think these are worth hearing. I really do. I was reluctant at first, but 100% remote is much better than hybrid. So many less tears this week. If we can't go back to 4 days, I'd much rather keep this current model. Not to mention the week of Thanksgiving, we had around 90 kids quarantined at PCES, I believe. With it being cold season, that will only continue or increase. I'm blown away at how well our teachers are doing and in such a quick turnaround. Another one, agreed. I'm loving 100% online versus hybrid. Here's the last one. I had a nice phone call with Dr. Swanger this afternoon, who thanked me for my emails. I told her, I told her that I don't envy the school administrators facing these incredibly tough decisions. I know that my daughter's teachers have been amazing throughout this entire school year, and thankful for our choice to move here 15 plus years ago. No matter what they choose, I will wholeheartedly support the upcoming levy. So, thank you for these tough decisions that we're making, and thank you for allowing everyone to work together.
Thank you.
Any questions? Concerns?
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Manbeck. Appreciate it. If we could move on to the next item on the agenda.
Okay, we'll move on to new business. 6.01, could I have a motion to approve the revised Jonathan Alder School District 2020-2021 Return to School Plan and Decision Framework as presented?
Second.
I wanted to direct your attention to this document as well. This was prepared back in July. I think it's worthy of revisiting due to the fact that we have learned so much between now, or between June and now. And with this, as you recall, the decision framework includes a three-pronged approach as far as what educational pathway we would be in. It includes the Ohio Public Health Advisory System, it includes the Madison County Health Department, and also includes school and community considerations. If you look on the next page, we've attached decisions and or potential movement within our educational pathways to the level system and also Madison County Health Department. One of the things that we have heard is we want consistency. And do not make quick decisions, do not make a quick move into an educational pathway so suddenly because of obviously the stress, anxiety that can potentially, disruption that can cause. One of the things that I would like to revise within that, if you look, is that level 4, purple, is we've changed that. I'd recommend we change that we could potentially be operating under pathway 1B, 50% capacity, and pathway 1C, 100% online. This gives us the flexibility to not have to make a quick, sudden decision. The other thing too that I want to emphasize with you is we are, with your local and school considerations, we have the ability, I think we found that out, to be flexible to where we could shut down a classroom in a respective building. We could shut down an entire building and still allow the other buildings to remain in a certain pathway. Again, we'll see, that could be fluid, but I just want to bring that to your attention because that could potentially happen. We have to be careful about a one-size-fits-all, and if we have that control or at least have that decision-making, I think we owe that to our community to be able to adapt quickly if we need to, but also then provide some consistency and stability and safety along the way. Questions?
Makes sense. I mean, Gary, if the health commissioner orders us closed, does it, I mean, I'm not sure, can we still do hybrid? If they order us closed?
If we would have a mandate, if we would have an order from health department and or state, if it would be an order, we would have to shut down. Okay, and the other thing would be a state, you know, if the governor would mandate that schools shut down, we don't have a choice, obviously, in that. And I think that's where there's some, right now, we're, based upon the rescission of the health department to change their order to advisory, what that is doing is putting a little bit more control to the local schools. However, though, the order of the social distancing is restricting those too. Is more restrictive than what it has been. So what I'm trying to do here is have some flexibility for you, for us, for me, so our schools, so we aren't making a quick decision or move, kind of like how it's felt here in the past 3 weeks.
What was the more restrictive portion?
Of the,
Social
it was, if we were purple, how that was worded. Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking Madison County Health Department?
Yes, sir.
It was the social distancing, the 6-foot social distance rule between student and staff, not in the same household. So that was revised.
Is that wasn't previous?
No,
Oh,
not to
because,
that, not to that extent.
got it.
There's a little more leeway there, so.
So Gary, I guess my question to you would be, and to the administrative team, I mean, we've been in this now for 8 or 9 months. We came up with these different models, the hybrid and 100% and online. You know, given what we know today, you know, it seems like, is there another model out there? I mean, is there something else we should be looking at? We have more knowledge today of this virus. We have more information to help us make decisions. Is there another model in addition to these that we should be looking at so that we have flexibility to keep kids in school? In other words, should we be looking at, is there a 25% model? Is there a 75% model? How do we, you know, is there other options that we have in our toolbox that we could make available for students to keep them in school and to keep this going?
I think that's a very good point, and that is something that I need to take back to the administrative team, eventually to teachers, but we need to begin to explore that. You are exactly right, because it does appear right now that our toolbox is limited, and I would agree with that, and so it's kind of like the question or the comment we had last month, are we doing everything we can for our students and for our community? And I think that question has to be kicked back to our administrative team and to us right now. Are we doing everything we can with what's available in our toolbox, and do we need more? So I appreciate you bringing this up.
I think it's just really critical to have something else. I mean, we need to be ready to open up on January 1st. And I just am not sure that, I hear the teachers saying they want to know, but we don't know where this virus is going to be. But is there an option out there? And I think we should explore that. And I would like you to challenge you and your A team to think about this and maybe share some ideas at the next board meeting or something of ways that we could make this work, even if it's reduced. I mean, if the 6-foot issue, that's a significant issue, could we do it with 25%? Is there different ways? Is there a parent choice option? I don't know the answer to those. I mean, you know, but is there a way we could look at some things a little differently and still make it better and stronger for children?
You are heard. Thank you very much. That is a clear directive. So I will take it.
Sorry.
And we will take it back. And I think that you mentioned there too. You mentioned I know some people would love to have a clear direction on what we're doing on January 4th. I don't think it's not fair to any of us, to our community, to our students, to make a decision, even, potentially even by our next board meeting, which is December 14th.
We can't.
Yeah,
We
I
can't.
don't feel comfortable making a decision
So-
today.
But I would like to have more options than just.
What we have here. We'll go to work on it and see what we come up with.
I think we can all agree that we all want the kids back in school, it's just a matter of whether we can accommodate that and safely. We need them to be safe, but we do want them back in school.
Part of what we're talking about here is the flexibility created with the framework, which obviously I think makes sense with, and obviously makes sense to explore other things, but we have to create a framework that we can create flexibility.
Some people have said you're gonna set precedent. I don't know what precedent, we could potentially
think
set,
there is one.
but,
You can set every day.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we need to be clear with our community on that too, but if we lose that flexibility or lose the ability to reflect and change, then we can put ourselves in a bad position as far as serving our kids in the community.
Do we know what the other schools in Madison County are going to do?
What I do know is, London has looked there, they had a special, emergency board meeting this morning at 7. Right now what I hear is they're gonna stay remote. Madison Plains is most likely gonna stay remote, and then also West Jefferson, I believe, is going to come back on Monday as a hybrid. And that is as of, Wednesday, so I may be wrong on that. I cannot speak for other schools.
I know, just in kind of in the vein of what Steve was saying, I know this is a slippery slope, but I would be really curious to do a parent survey maybe right before Christmas break, to see where, see after Thanksgiving what numbers look like, see where parents are at in terms of, because right now basically all we hear from is vocal people. I mean, people that are, I feel like either on one extreme or the other extreme, and so to really have a good understanding of where parents are at, I would be, or the community, or what, some sort of data.
The only thing I'm not opposed to that, I guess, if we're gonna go down the directions of surveys, we have not surveyed our kids yet.
Yeah.
Well, what do they want?
Yeah.
We have not surveyed our kids and asked them what's best for them. What do they, if we're gonna do surveys.
Yeah, sure.
It's across the board.
Agreed.
But I'm not sure we have time to do all that, but I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
right.
if you're gonna do surveys, we need to do it across the board and listen to all voices. And our students are probably the voice we should listen to most.
Well, the only reason I was saying that is because I've been under the impression that if the community, that parent, I'm talking about parents here, but I've been under the impression that parents would want their kids to be in school as many days as possible, and if that's 2 days, they'd be happy with 2 days. If it's 3 days, they'd be happy with 3 days. But what I've actually found, at least in the last couple of days, is that parents hated hybrid. They hated their kids, not everybody, but a lot of parents hated hybrid, and if their kids can't be in school 5 days, they would rather be 100% remote, which is very surprising to me. I was shocked, especially coming from some of the people that I heard from, I was very shocked to hear that. And so going down like a different, like a 25% or a 75%, I think I would be very curious about what the perception of that would be, because I don't think there would be as much appetite for that as we would initially think. So that was the only reason that I was thinking some sort of to try to get some data, that's all.
I understand the need for doing that. My concern with that is it's a static, it's a one-time
Yeah, sure.
shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we're gonna make decisions, look how much has changed over the
Yeah.
past 2 weeks.
See, that's just,
If we be making decisions on where we were 2 weeks ago,
Absolutely.
it may be completely different right now. So
Yeah.
that would be my only caution. We can look at that and bring that back to you.
The environment's changing so quickly
The other
that the
thing-
data becomes stale so quickly, to where it's not applicable.
Sure.
Because you're making a new decision.
And I'd hate to take a survey every time we need to make a decision.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, I
that
agree.
doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that's true.
Let's take the data that we have and let's make a decision. And our priorities have been, we have a mission, we have our priorities, we know what they are. And it's to educate and keep our kids safe. And
Well, the fact is, there's no good solution. There's
That's right.
some
No.
solution that's better than another solution, and that's what we're facing, unfortunately.
Right. And the other thing we have to remember is, this is temporary. This isn't gonna be the way we run schools from here on out. This is temporary. You know, if you look at what's happening with the vaccine, if you look at the percentage of folks that have tested positive and have some already then have some immune system built up, you know, I don't see why we can't be back full-time this spring. And so this is temporary. We just gotta get through this the best that we can, give kids the best supports they can, and then we'll get back to normal. And I mean, we all want that. And I think we've gotta take those steps to try to get there.
We need to vote on this one.
Yes, yes, we've got a motion on the table to approve. Is there any more discussion? Okay, roll call. Mrs. Blacka, yes. Mrs. Boyd,
Yes.
Mr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. McCartney?
Yes.
Mr. Votel?
Yes.
Motion passed. 6.02, resolution to remain in pathway 1C 100% remote learning for all pre-K to 12 grade students through Friday, December 18th, 2020.
So
Okay.
moved.
Okay, thank you. Second, anyone?
Second.
Discussion regarding,
Yes, this recommendation is based upon the Madison County Public Health Department's new advisories and orders and on the need to continue to provide safety and consistency for our students, families, teachers. Making another quick change in our educational pathways in such a short period of time only creates additional anxiety and stress for all involved. With the most recent Madison County Public Health Advisory, we want to slow down the decision-making process so that we can continue to make well-informed plans for our students and schools. For the next 2 weeks, the most restrictive approach appears to be the most consistent approach.
I think I'd like to thank Madison County Health Board too for changing rescinding their directive and giving us the flexibility to work with our staff and our community to come up with a solution that works for us right now. Appreciate that they did that, and it was difficult to change on a dime though, so I agree that it makes sense to stay in this pathway of the remote learning for now.
I mean, I agree with that. I think the consistency piece of it is just kind of outweighs some of the other things that could maybe be accomplished through that. And, you know, kids do like consistency. It is how they, you know, go through the habits. And so it's not, you know, like I said, there's no good solutions, but I think it's probably the best thing today as we sit here.
I agree.
Any further discussion? Roll call. Mrs. Blacka, yes. Mrs. Boyd,
Yes.
Mr. Faust,
Yes.
Mr. McCartney,
Yes.
Mr. Votel.
Yes.
Okay, motion approved. We'll stay on remote learning until December 18th, and decisions regarding January 4th will be forthcoming. Our next regular board meeting is on Monday, December 14th at 5:30 here in the library at the high school. Could I have a motion to adjourn the December special board meeting of the Jonathan Alder Local School District Board of Education?
Second.
Mrs. Black, if I could interrupt before you take that. As a superintendent, I want to thank each one of you for your leadership through all of this. I know it's not been easy on you either, especially taking all of my phone calls. And even more so though as a parent of students in this district, I want to say thank you for your leadership and what you're doing for this district, for our community, for our students and families.
And likewise, Gary, I think we want to thank you and the administrative team, all the teachers, all the, other staff, the bus driver, whatever. I mean, we know this has been a challenge, unlike one that we have faced as a district. And so we really thank you for your leadership, the teachers for their leadership, everybody. I know it's not an easy time, but we really appreciate what you're doing, and so thank you.
Okay, roll call. Mrs. Palaka, yes. Mrs. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Faust?
Yes.
Mr. McCartney?
Yes.
And Mr. Botoff?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much for joining us on the live feed.